Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be talking about yet another Sundance movie with Duel, directed by Riley Stearns, starring Karen Gillan, and Aaron Paul. This is a movie that I was very excited to watch at this film festival. One of my most anticipated of the entire thing because it's the director of The Art of Self-Defense, which if you have not seen that movie, I highly recommend it if you like really weird. Just watch the trailer for it maybe, or just start watching the movie. If you're not into it, like the style, the way they talk, and it's very Jesse Eisenberg, that movie. It's the most Jesse Eisenberg he has ever been, but that's because of Riley Stearns' direction, and his style is very distinct, especially in this movie and in that movie. This movie takes place in a world where if you're diagnosed with like a terminal illness like Karen Gillan's character is at the beginning of this movie, you have an option to create like a clone of yourself essentially to take over your life, to live on with your family so they don't have to deal with like the grief and the loss of losing you when you die. And so that's exactly what happens in this film. Karen Gillan is diagnosed with a terminal illness and she decides to go with this clone idea, but she makes a miraculous recovery, and so she has to, decommission her clone, but her clone doesn't want to be decommissioned, and so they have to fight to the death in order to see who's the real Sarah by the end of this movie. And I love that premise. This premise and this world that this movie creates is definitely my favorite part of the film. The film has so many great ideas to explore this idea. It starts off with a great, duel scene, and then it goes on, and it's more of an ideology or like a reflection of looking at yourself and looking at death and looking at, the parts of yourself that you love, the parts of yourself that you hate. It's definitely a self-reflective movie about, characters and about, her character dealing with the fact that she's about to die, or dealing with the fact that she has to try to learn how to kill now. And it's definitely a story that's less about, the action and the fact that it's called Duel. It's less about that, and it's more about the journey of this character throughout this story and in this world where it can explore, the world building in this. And there's so many great scenes where she's dealing with other people who have gone through this, or she's dealing with it herself in her own way, or she's just doing different things. And Karen Gillan is phenomenal in this movie. And I think those two things, the world building that this film has and Karen Gillan's incredible Duel performance, is what makes me really want to love this movie. And this one's a tricky one because I was so on board with this movie, and then certain things happen, certain subversions of expectations, and then the movie ends, and then I just wasn't sure what to think about the film anymore. And this is one where I desperately want to see it again. I said in my Letterboxd review that I absolutely hate, putting number ratings on movies because of this exact film. This is why I don't rate movies in my reviews. I review the movies, I talked about the things that I liked and what I didn't like, but those things always change. Ratings and putting a number to a movie always changes as you, learn about this movie, as you sit with it, as you watch it again. And this is a film that I desperately want to watch again because there's just so many ways that this movie subverts my expectations when I had such high expectations for it. And then I felt a certain sort of, not disappointment by the end of this movie, but I wasn't sure how to feel about it. And I still don't know how to feel about it. And I think as time goes on, I'm going to end up loving this movie. But as of right now, I can see this movie really pushing away its audience. I can see somebody watching this film and then absolutely hating it when it's over. And I get that perspective, but there's the journey that the characters go through and the meanings that it goes through, and the way that the characters are wrapped up at the end of this film, and the performance and what it means to these characters is so well done. It just didn't end up in the way that I was expecting it to. And so this really is a film about expectations in terms of me and my reaction to it, but it is extremely well written. The dialogue and the way the performances are is so entertaining. It's so funny. This is my type of humor. This is a very humorous movie. And again, if you don't like The Art of Self-Defense and you don't like the way this director directs his actors and the way that he does his comedy, then you're not going to like this movie in the slightest. So it's definitely for a very specific sort of audience, and I am that audience, but the way this story wraps up is just, I don't know how I feel about it yet. In terms of like actual negatives that I can for sure say is negatives is the fact that besides Karen Gillan's character, everybody else in the film is just kind of there in like supporting roles that they don't really have arcs of their own. Aaron Paul is so funny in this film. He is great. There's an amazing dance sequence in this movie. This is the second film during Sundance where they've had a crazy dance sequence that I absolutely loved. And there was actually another one that happened later on that also had a really funny, there's actually two more that have like, there's a lot of dance sequences in this festival this year, and a lot of dog deaths. A lot of dogs die, and a lot of people dance in this film, or at least the line of films that I watched for this film festival. But the dance scene in this movie with Aaron Paul is so funny. I cannot express to you how great that was, and how likable his character was, and how entertaining he was in this role. But in terms of his character, in terms of like the boyfriend character and the mom character, they're all supporting for the main storyline between Karen Gillan and Karen Gillan. But it just, I wish they had more to do. I wish they had more of an arc for every character rather than just the main character. But overall, as an experience of watching this movie, I went through so many roller coasters. I was loving the movie, and then it subverted my expectations, and I started loving it even more, and then it subverts my expectations again, and then I don't know how to feel about it. But when I'm thinking back at it, and the character journey, and the performances, and like all these different things about it, and the world building, I want to love this movie, and I think on second watch I will love this movie. But as of right now, I will recommend it to you guys just because I found it such a fascinating experience, and I love the premise of this movie so much. And there's like a million different ways that this story could have gone, or a movie in this world could go. There's so many different ideas that I have as a writer, that the writer probably had as a writer, or maybe he had this distinct idea, but this world is so rich with stories and different ideas that you could go through, that this is a world that's rich of opportunity. And the opportunity that this movie took, and the route that this movie took, is a lot different than what you would expect a movie like this with that premise would take. And so definitely know that going in, and I think you will enjoy this film. So if you guys did watch Duel at the Sundance Film Festival, definitely comment down below what your thoughts on the movie was. I'm curious to hear all your guys' different ideas of how the movie sat with you once it ended. That's definitely what I want to hear from you guys. So thanks guys for watching this video. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more reviews just like this for Sundance. I have a bunch more to do. I've already done a few, so definitely check out other videos on this series that I've already done. So thanks everybody for watching. If you liked, leave a like, and I hope to see you all in my next one.